Phonological patterning, you're thinking of music. There's a clever acronym that we've used multiple times, but you're thinking of the musical elements of it. And of course, you might think, but we're looking at formal language. Surely, no one's going to be rhyming or dropping sick beats over their speeches. But you'd be surprised how often a good speech maker will use phonological patterning to sort of make it cling together. And as a general rule, patterning, it serves the purpose of making it more cohesive, not more coherent necessarily, but more cohesive. And the more skillful a speech or a writer is, the more likely they'll just sort of do these things innately, and they'll kind of, without even realizing, be doing all these things. So it makes it more cohesive, and it also makes it more pleasing to the ear. So in the same way, in mainstream English, we talk about alliteration, and students struggle to think of the persuasive purpose of alliteration. It's not necessarily persuasive in and of itself, but it is a good sign that the speaker knows what they're doing, that the writer knows what they're doing, that they're making really conscious choices. And of course, all of these things, all of these patternings, are things that we enjoy. So the more collocations you use, almost the easier it is to read. So every time I get to the end of a sentence, if you say birds of a feather flock together, straight away I know what that means, so I don't have to kind of think about it. I'm like, yep, get it, metaphor, cliche. It just fits. My head understands it straight away. It's a lot quicker than if you made up a new kind of clunky metaphor, like birds that are kind of the same have a different wing color, and then your brain is going, huh? Never heard that before. I have to think about it and how it fits and what it means. So the easiest example is to go into the description of this video, click on rhyme scheme, look at someone like Eminem, look at anyone who sort of does a really high level rhyming. They're not just doing the cat in the hat. You can see each of these colors is a whole bunch of different strategies and skills and phonetic patterns as well. So if you look up a rhyme scheme of a song that you like, typically, hip hop is especially good at this sort of thing, but whatever it is, you'll see there's similar patterns and similar sort of phonological and phonetic features running through together. So the acronym we use is RARA and Co. Pause here, write it down, see if you can do it off the top of your head what it stands for. If not, rhythm, assonance, rhyme, alliteration, consonance, and onomatopoeia. So again, pause it here, see if you can define those off the top of your head. If not, jump on ahead, let's see what we've got. So rhyme, basically it's a superordinate umbrella term, cat, hat, mat, sat, lat. Anything that rhymes can even be half rhyme, so words that sort of rhyme is like, if we go back to rhyme scheme, that's something Eminem does a lot of. Words that are close enough to a rhyme, so the famous example that he uses is that there's no rhyming word for orange. But he's if you pull up a clip of Orange Eminem, you can see him describing a lot of things that have similar stress patterns, things that are half rhymes that sound similar. I'm not going to attempt to do it, but if you look it up, it's a good example. Alliteration, repetition of the first initial consonant. So again, you've got rhyme and you've got alliteration. Underneath alliteration, you've got consonants and assonance. So those are two different types of alliteration. So you can see RARA and Co maybe isn't as useful as sort of standalone ideas, but you could talk about, this text uses a lot of rhyme, especially alliteration, with a focus on assonance, but with a smaller degree of consonant. So each of these are sort of subsets within subsets. And again, rhythm and rhyme, not too dissimilar. And you could talk, I guess rhythm is different because you're talking about prosodic features, so stress, pace, volume, all those sort of things can be rhythmic. So even if you used the same, read the same line out, you could do a whole range of things with spit V to make it rhyme together. So if I always stress the last syllable of whatever I'm saying, it sort of sounds like there's a rhythm to what I'm talking about, but that's not necessarily something that you can observe necessarily just in the text if you type that out. So consonance is the consonant, so we know what a consonant is. Assonance is the vowel sound. Basically, that's easy as that. Glenn Mcgah is like a famous, and I've probably misspelled his name to make it easier to recognize, but that's a famous cricket chant from the old days when I grew up. Onomatopoeia, sounds to imitate sounds, basically. Woof, zip, oops, smash, crash, not whoops, that's a terrible example, but zip, cough, all the sort of sound effects that you would make to entertain a small child typically.